Good evening. This is KD9WFA. My name is Lorelei, and I welcome you to the 2 a.m. net. The purpose of this net is to promote the use of amplitude modulation and also to establish this part of this band as a place for AM activity in this area. Everyone is invited to listen. Licensed amateurs who can do so legally are encouraged to check in. We listen in the AM mode and transmit in the AM mode where possible. If you cannot transmit in AM, we encourage you to listen in AM and transmit in FM. If you are transmitting in FM, please adjust your transmit frequency a couple of kCs above or below from our receive frequency. This facilitates the use of slope detection, that is, demodulating your FM signal with our AM receivers. This is KD9WFA. Please stand by.
And when checking in, please announce your call sign in standard phonetics. This is KC9UDX. My name is Matt, and I will now begin accepting check-ins. Any stations wishing to check in, excuse me, please come now.
Good evening, Matt. WJCC.
All right, we got one. Recognizing and welcoming Frank, W9JCC, our most loyal check-in. Do we have anybody else? Come now, please.
Whiskey Bravo 9. Bravo Whiskey Papa.
And recognizing and welcoming Dave, our second most loyal check-in, WB9BWP. Do we have anybody else? Come now, please. All right, hearing none so far. Maybe we'll pick up a few a little bit later here. Oh, and stand by. I'll let somebody else here officially check in.
Should I just say by call sign?
Yeah, in standard phonetics.
Kilo Delta Niner Whiskey Foxtrot Alpha.
And officially recognizing and welcoming KD9WFA Lorelei. So, not too much new to report this month. As usual, I'm sure you guys get tired of hearing about it. I'm very tired. They cut my overtime for a while, but now I'm back at it this week. So I'm a little more tired than normal. And not too much else going on. I got some new bowling shoes. And I guess Lorelei can tell you she got a new bowling ball, but we have not gone bowling to try this stuff out yet. And I think Lorelei is on short time, so I'm going to turn it over to her first. KD9WFA from KC9UDX. Talk about anything you want.
As KC9UDX just said, I got a new bowling ball, and we got it at Dave's World by State Fair, and I think that's all I have in mind right now.
Do you want to describe the bowling ball?
The bowling ball is like reddish, and the person who works at Dave's World measured my fingers and did all this stuff with my fingers. And he put my name on the ball, and that's about it.
How much does it weigh?
I think it weighs about 10 pounds, and that's about it for what I have right now. Over to you, Matt.
So what do you say? You got to say your call sign, please.
KD9WFA.
All right, thank you, Lorelei. And next we'll go to Frank, W9JCC from KC9UDX.
KC9UDX and up W9JCC. And good evening to all those that checked in. And very fine on the bowling ball there, Lorelei. It sounds like you got a nice one. My wife and I used to bowl many years ago. We got rid of the balls. I forgot where they went at this point. It was so long ago. that I don't run in the wintertime. That pretty much stays in storage, but got the axle, the air at 35 pounds PSI in each tire, and a lot of dust on the car. It's just sitting all winter, but we took it for about a 12-mile drive, and it seems to be running just fine. Started up real good. It's a 93, so it's got not too many miles though for a 93. It's got about 87,000 on it. So that's about it for this one. We'll turn it back to Net. This is WNIJCC.
All right, fine business, Frank. And I know what you mean about the dust. And unfortunately, if you're me, the dust accumulates to the point where you really can't wash it off anymore without damaging the paint. But I'm sure yours is not that bad yet. My 88 is getting close to 300,000 miles. My wife's 2,000 is too. And I don't even remember what the other cars have on them, but they're getting up there too. And I'll tell you what, I used to be a pretty good bowler. I had a little over 220 average for a while. And I had these really nice shoes. I think I bought them from John Magna. I'm not sure if he's still got a pro shop or not. This was a long time ago. And those shoes, I wore them out, and I could not find a decent pair of shoes after that. The newer ones weren't as good as the ones that I had, and so I was stubborn and didn't get better ones, or better than worn out ones. And unfortunately, that ruined my bowling. These shoes have stick-on pads on the bottom. I think the ones that I have were one of the first ones to have that. And these stick-on pads would come off and cause me to either come to a skidding stop or my foot would go off from underneath me. And for a long time I tried and tried to keep those working, and that just didn't work. So it literally ruined my bowling. I have not been able to bowl properly since. That's why I got some new shoes. I've actually got 3 new pairs, and one I returned and one I wish I could return, but I can't because I put a little wear on them. But I don't know what it is with new bowling shoes. They stick to the floor like glue, and that's hazardous for me. So I hopefully got a pair now that will work. If not, I've got this strap-on slider thing that I put on my original shoes. We'll see how that works. And with that, we'll go to Dave, WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Yeah, I used to bowl too. And like Frank, I think we gave the ball and stuff, the ball and the shoes and stuff away. I'm not even sure anymore. It's been quite a while. I know that, and nowadays I don't think I could. Arthritis in both thumbs. They work fine and all, but there's occasional pain in there, and I like to joke that I'm losing my opposable thumb. Anyway, yeah, we even did a couple of years in a league and everything. It was, that was way back, I think, when we first got married. But I remember even bowling as a kid. Let's see. Yeah, I wasn't here last month. I was having dinner with a guy that I've worked with numerous times over the years. Just didn't get back in time.
Hey,
I wanted to
thank you for doing
that. Here last month. Just to tell you, Matt, that when you guys came to the Amfest, not only did you and Lorelei win a prize, but if you would have stayed a little longer, your son also could have won a prize. I did draw his ticket. Yeah, I mean, odds were good that day because of the snow and stuff, but that would have been a family clean sweep there. Other than that, what have I been doing around here? When the weather allows, I've been outside yet again, fiddling with antennas. I had to skip a few days so recently. I had some medical stuff done that I'm still... I think tomorrow or Thursday I can start lifting things again. They poked a couple of holes in me just to see what they might have to do in the near future. So we'll see what happens there. I did do something. I can't help myself with rearranging stuff over here. And in the course of doing that, my stuff is mounted in racks, and nowadays it's desktop one. And I thought, I'm always needing to fiddle with this stuff, and where I have it now, I can't get to the back. So I thought I had this bright idea of putting a turntable, a lazy Susan kind of thing, under one of the racks. And this is the first time I'm actually really doing anything in front of the radio with it, and I was worried that that's still a timer in the radio, which I have. I leave it at 3 minutes for repeater stuff. But it's the first time I'm actually doing something with the stuff in that rack. I was worried that pushing buttons was going to make it start to rotate in. Yes, it does. So I have to come up with something to jam under it or something to keep it from spinning. Anyway, that's probably a good sign that I should stop talking. So this was WB9, BWB.
All right, thank you, Dave. And I know what you mean with the turning when you don't want it to. I have done that in the past, and I did not like it. The equipment that I had on that rack would not rotate anyway. It didn't work out the way I had planned. But I know exactly what you mean. I've got that situation here. I've got about 8 inches between the back of the shelves here and the wall, but I cannot get at anything behind there without taking something else off of a shelf and reaching behind, which is not always practical. I had originally wanted to leave some space back there so I could get back there, but that was not feasible. So I don't know what I'm going to do in the future. I'm going to have to do something different. This operating table is, I've been saying it for a very, very long time now, is just not ideal for this. I'd like to have an actual desk, and I think I can get one the right dimensions, but it's a matter of finding one and then getting it down here and getting this picnic table out of here, which I don't know how that's going to work without maybe cutting it up, unfortunately. And you said you probably couldn't bowl anymore, but I'll tell you what, you don't necessarily need your thumb to bowl. I guess I've noticed this a lot recently. I didn't realize how many people bowl this way, where they don't put their fingers in the holes and they use both their hands to throw the bowling ball. Back when I bowled in leagues, that was I don't think anybody would have done that. I think it would have been discouraged at the very minimum. But I guess that's an acceptable thing to do these days. I've even seen professionals bowling that way with two hands. I don't quite understand it. I think I would have a hard time doing that, but they seem to do it. They put all kinds of spin on the ball when they do that. And I guess I can't wait to tell Owen that you drew his name. He will be disappointed, but not too disappointed. He's got his grandfather's luck. His grandfather always says, if it wasn't for bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck. That's how Owen is. My other son, Miles, does not have that problem. I bought him a $2 scratch-off lottery ticket a while back, and he won $60. He's like that. But Owen is, well, he just doesn't have any luck. So I'll have to tell him. And we are at the bottom of the list. Let's see if we have any more check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please.
69 UDX and the bunch and 9 CXK. Hi everybody, hope you can hear me.
All right, recognizing and welcoming N9CXK. Carol, welcome to the net. Do we have anybody else? Come now, please. Hearing none, I will turn it over to you, Carol, N9CXK from KC9UDX.
Sure enough. Good evening, everybody. Everybody sounding good here? Dave, if you have that rack that's spinning around, you have two things with you that you can jam under that. They're called your feet. That'll stop it. And, yeah, so what were we all talking about here? I can't remember. I don't know what to tell me. I can't speak to bowling. I've only bowled a couple times in my life, and I don't have the interest in that. But that reminds me that I need to buy a new set of cross-country ski shoes that my old ones fell apart, and threw them away, and didn't have anything last year, so I gotta find something. But I sure don't want to pay full price for something like that. So I guess I gotta go to Play It Again for it. That's probably it. I haven't done a lot of radio things at all. Just busy with the new dog and general spring things. Outside most evenings now. I'll probably be outside until dark doing things. So I don't know. I have to make more of an effort to get on the nets, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Not too much happening. We're kind of waiting for the tree trimmers to come here. Although they came and put my dock in the lake, they told them not to, and they put in the dock, and it's right where the tree would fall. So I guess they're going to come and try to just top the tree off and come back in the winter time and drop it on the ice. I guess that's what we'll have to do. And there's a few more big limbs around the yard that I want to take it down. So they'll have things to do. Not quite the way it was. Let's see. My radio has timeout timer too. Okay, there we go. So, what were you guys talking about? I don't know. The old cars, yeah. My 88 Ford Ranger that has 76,000 miles on it now. Because I was driving it awful heavy the last couple of years. So that's still in storage. I started it up the other day. It's fine, but I don't need it out. Get stuff on it. So it's still in the storage unit. And I don't know. Didn't go to any Hamfests here. I told somebody else these Hamfests around here, they're too far away, takes too much time, and there's not much there. So I'm waiting for Lions. That should be pretty good with 2 clubs coming. And then South Milwaukee, of course, where hopefully I'll be cooking grilled cheese sandwiches and making Bloody Marys. That's the usual. So looking forward to that. Unload more stuff. Boy, I keep finding more things that need to move. N9CXK, back to the net.
All right, thank you, Carol. Fine business. I hope I can get to some more Swap Fest this year. I managed to go to one. It was probably the first one in, I don't know, 8-9 years or so. I don't even remember. So I hope to go to some more of them, at least the South Milwaukee one. Possibly bring this radio and operate portable like I used to always do. Well, I'll tell you what, with the ski boots, you better start looking now if you want them for next year. I had to replace some of my kids' boots last year and the year before, and this stuff is just plain not available. I mean, I'm talking used stuff and new stuff. I don't know what it's like exactly now, but I would assume it hasn't improved much. I guess if I were you, I would check out the thrift stores and eBay and Play It Again Sports. I've never been there, so I don't know for sure. But this stuff is hard to get. I was actually to the point where I thought I was going to have to make some. I did have to make ski poles. I could not get poles for my boys, and I ended up having to make poles for them, which turned out better than I planned, but not as good as I could possibly do, I guess. I made them out of aluminum. Turned up some points to fit into some aluminum tubing. Got baskets, I ordered them online, stuck them on there, and I got grips to stick on. I actually had to take a smaller piece of round stock and jam it into the end of the tube and then put the grip on that. Worked out really well. So I guess I got some made in USA ski poles for them. Absolutely could not find poles their length anywhere, anyhow. I doubt I could have gotten them for me at that time. I guess all of the manufacturers consolidated in Europe, and a bunch of the factories burned down a couple years ago. And I'm not sure if any of that has really recovered. And with that, we're at the bottom of the list yet. Let's see if we have any more check-ins. Come now, please. All right, hearing none. I should have mentioned at the start of the net, I guess we've got a lot of solar activity, so it's a good thing we're on VHF. We might not hear each other otherwise. And of course, there's no chance of anybody checking in from north of the Arctic Circle, but there is no radio communication up there right now. So it's an interesting time. I thought the sun would actually be more active than it is, but we got a long ways to go in this cycle, so we'll see what happens. And Lorelei has checked out, gone to bed. So we'll go to the top of the list. Frank, W9JCC from KC9UDX.
Okay, thank you, Matt. KC9UDX, W9JCC. And we'll say, good evening, Matt and Carol. Everybody's coming in good. You're usually 40 over 9 there, Matt, and Dave and Carol are both us 8. So pretty good copy over here on the southwest side of Waukesha. And as far as the bowling goes, I was in a league with my ex-Lyle and a friend from work and his ex-Lyle. And I don't know what the other people were, but we stayed in the league for 1 year, and I don't think we made 2 years. But when I was younger, I used to set doubles down at the Thompsons in Kenosha, and I probably set more pins than I bowled more frames. But I did that when I was basically in high school, near the end of high school there. And then at the people with shoes, some of the shoes we just usually rented. I don't think I ever had shoes for bowling. And as far as getting behind things in the ham shack, I've got a real nice office table that I use for the uprighting table. But I have the same problem that some of you guys have about getting to the back of the equipment. I probably have, mine's in kind of a semicircle I mounted it, so, but there's about and then kind of taking a few other small stuff off the top. And getting back to, I had to work on the F-Lead on 7584 a couple of weeks ago, and I got the Johnson Ranger sitting on top of it. So I had to get the Ranger off first. So that doggone thing is heavier than it used to be now. But we did get the S-Reader adjusted, and it's working good. South Milwaukee, that's one of my favorite hand trucks. I'm hoping to make that one. I probably ought to put that on the calendar because that's probably coming up not too distant future here. I think Carol mentioned taking down some trees. I had somebody, the beavers, take down 3 trees here, 2 maples and a honey locust. And 2 of them were quite large, the locust and one of the maples. And the wood disappeared in a flash. I got 2 neighbors and my son that all that wood has taken all of it. And within a day or so, it was all cleaned out. And there was a lot of wood there. Anyway, back to that WNIGCC.
All right, thank you, Frank. I think we've lost trees or large parts of trees due to the snow. But I hate to say it, I haven't gone out and inspected myself, so I don't really know. My wife handles all that stuff. You know, when I originally laid out my operating area here, I had this ridiculous idea of having the entire desk and a platform for the operating chair all on a big giant Lazy Susan. And I decided that was a way too ambitious project. Otherwise it probably wouldn't be terrible. I don't know how much the coax would like that, but it probably wouldn't be too bad, you know, once in a while. Obviously wouldn't be spinning it around all the time. Don't think I'd ever attempt that, though, unless I find myself with spare time and money somehow. And I'll tell you, that's pretty neat that you were a pin boy. I gotta ask. Hopefully, remember for the next time around. I gotta ask if you set pins on I don't know what they call that, where you push down on the pedal and the little I don't know, points come up out of the floor and you stick the pin on them. Or did you have one of those Brunswick? What was that model number? B10, where you it's almost like a automatic pin spotter, except it's manual, where you put the pins in it and then you lower it down. And I was going to comment on something else, but I forgot what it was. So I guess next we'll go to a day. Excuse me, WB9 BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. Good evening to Carol over there. Joined in. And yeah, everybody's turning good over here. I'll say F7 and up for everybody. So that's good. And I haven't been on ETF for a couple of weeks as I was juggling the order boxes and things around here, making new, getting power cables to the right length and stuff, and a couple of chunks of coax too. So now in fact, this proves that at least on this radio, I got everything hooked up right. There's been talking on it now. This Saturday is Armed Forces Day crossband test. You have to look up the schedule and see when bases are on, what times and what frequencies. and they'll be on military frequencies, and they announce where they're listening. I've done that the last couple of years, made a couple of contacts on those. And then there's a message too that they send a couple of times during the day. CW and RIDI. I think I copied the message too. So anyway, Hamfest in 2 weeks. Not this weekend, but next weekend. The same weekend as Hamvention for all those people that don't go to Ohio. The parking lot at HRO. Free. Free to sell, free to buy, free, to get there, to be there, to buy stuff from people. And last year there were a number of radios that sold at good prices, even. And that's the day that the normal day for an LREC meeting and May meeting for many, many, many years has been an auction. So we start out with the parking lot Hamfest and then move inside at 10 o'clock for an auction. And no fees are charged there either, as opposed to some people that charge commission. Anyway, so that's on the 20th, which is not this weekend, but next weekend. And that's also then at the convention weekend for any. Oh, and there it is again. I know a few people that are going over there. Haven't been there for a number of years. Haven't been there since they moved to Xenia. So in the early 2000s, I was there, I don't know, 5 or 6 times in a row. Back when I could move there, let's put it that way. South Milwaukee is July 8th. I looked at here also. So, and yeah, I can't tell you how many times my stuff has been shuffled around in here. When I first built this room after we bought the house many years ago, I set it up such that there was actually a wall that could open up. The furnace is on the other side of the wall here, and I could actually go in the back and take off a few wing nuts and drop the wall out of the way, and I could get to the back of everything. Unfortunately, I had a lot less stuff then, and I can't fit in there anymore, so everything had to move, and now it's not so easy to get to the back of things. But that's okay. I tend to not leave anything in the same place for too long. I really got to stop that. Spend more time using the radios instead of just rearranging them. For that, we'll send it back, and that this is WG9BWP.
All right, thank you, Dave. At least you get to rearrange them. I don't get to spend any time down here. So I've always just got a accumulating disaster, I guess. I, of course, took this radio apart, and I have not put it back together yet. It's still in pieces, but it still works. I will certainly be at the meeting next week, so I guess I'll be going to that Swap Fest too. I didn't even realize that was happening. But I did know about the auction. It'll be the second one of those auctions I've been to. Right behind me here is a whole gigantic box of stuff that I got at the last one I went to. All kinds of amateur TV stuff that I've never really dug into. Always kind of wanted to. It's all homemade, so it'd take a long time to figure out what it all is, I guess. I don't have any real desire to go to Dayton anymore. I would have liked to see it in the old horror arena, but I guess the appeal is gone for me. I don't have a desire to see it at the new location. I guess it shouldn't matter, but for some reason that's just the way it is. I don't know. And well, you talk about that wall with the furnace. That's a pretty slick idea if you could use it. I have no opportunity to do anything like that here. This room, which I've divided in two, one for my operating area and the other half for my electronics workbench, which it turns out there's no real point in having them close together, so I may change that someday. I don't know. But it's a very narrow, long room, and there's just no opportunity to do anything like that here. It sure would be nice if I could, though. The furnace is in the middle of the house, which is kind of L-shaped, so nothing that I could do like that there. Anyway, next we'll go to Carol N9CXK from KC9UDX.
KC9UDX and the net N9CXK. Well, good. I'm glad I'm not the only guy who just can't get going on projects. Although I have many fewer projects now that we're getting into this house. But always plenty of things to do. My shack is really just a nice desk. Everything's kind of in a semicircle around me. I threw away the hutch that used to go on top of it, but all you ended up doing was stacking stuff up higher and higher, and eventually things would fall down. So I got rid of that thing and decided I could keep everything on the level here. So that's the way it is here. It's good. I can reach over and grab most any cable I want. There's still a rat's nest back there. Even though it's all from scratch and all brand new, it's still a rat's nest. So one of these days I'll straighten that out just a little bit. And I still have to put my grounding panel in the box outside the wall here. I just never did it. And I'm going to have to sit on the roof and put coax connectors on. I got to shorten all the cables up, go into the box, and attach to the lightning arresters and all that. I have to sit on the roof and do it someday. So, Matt, I guess maybe I didn't mention this here, but I had heard a while back that scientists were thinking that the solar cycle might be peaking near the end of this year or the beginning of next year, that things that were accelerated or shortened or whatever you want to call it. And I'm excited about that proposition. Things are building up nicely. And yeah, I've been watching space weather, and it looks like the ionization is kind of maxed out up in a real high latitude. I don't know, for the last several weeks, really the upper bands have been great. Lower bands, I don't think they're doing much. They work, but I don't think there's much happening there. My friends are working, a lot of people on 10, 12, 15, 17, and 20. So that's good. It's good for them. I guess that's about it. I don't have much to talk about. Yeah, I had to take down my 2-meter sideband stack antennas. Weren't working right. The SWR went way up. Took them down. The entire phasing harness, everything was full of water. I waterproofed the heck out of those loops, but there was still a plastic block with studs going through it, and the water must have been running right through them, right to the coax connector, and then going in the back of the coax connector and down the coax. So everything got hung up, grained out, put in the oven. Nothing was getting rusty on the cable. So I think I'm okay there. But the coax connectors on the 2 loops were getting rusty. So it took a while to clean all that up with different fluids and emery cloth and steel wool and stuff. Yeah. kind of bad, and I still don't know how to waterproof them, so they're down. I just have a single loop up there, which doesn't do much for me at all. But it does work. It's a load. That's all I can say. And then it was interesting to listen to the guys talking about their, they sent up some weather balloons or balloons with ham radio trackers on them. And that's from MSOE. They sent up balloons, and apparently one got into Michigan and the other one got over to the East Coast, I gather. So that's pretty exciting for a first time. I don't know how far those usually will go. Smaller balloons like that, put together by amateurs. I don't know, but it sounded kind of neat. And we were able to track them with the LBRY until they went in. So I thought that was very cool. And I think that's about all I got here. And that constant, I think that you're using that. Yeah, that guy down in Illinois, I was looking, he's way down in Illinois on the Illinois-Indiana line. He had all those beautiful radios for sale. 22er, 99er, 22er, 99er, SR42, and then a constant, it says a constant communicator 4 or something I never heard of. Maybe that's the one you're using, but in the picture there was one just like you're using there. And several other radios of that vintage and that type. You wanted $500 for all of it, you had to go pick it up. I guess they were all minty nice from a collector or something. A little bit interesting, not tempting to me, too far, way too far. And my desk is already full. Thank goodness. 59UDX, N9DXA.
All right, thank you, Carol. Yeah, this is a communicator 4. I believe it's the last of the communicator line. It's significantly different than the earlier ones. The earlier ones were all very similar. I've had a communicator 1 and a communicator 2 and a communicator 3, and I still have the 3 and of course the 4. I sold the other ones, which I really regret. I guess I needed the money at that point, and I didn't really need all these extra 2-meter radios, so that's why I sold those other ones. But I kept the communicator 3 because it's 6 meters. And one of these days I got to get that thing back in operation. I would like to tune up the receiver, realign it, and otherwise it should be good to go. And those balloons, I had thought they weren't going to launch them for some reason. I guess they did, which is good. I wonder if they recovered them. At least nobody shot them down. That's the best part. And you know what you did wrong with that waterproofing? The problem is you waterproofed it. You didn't leave a drain. Anyway, we are at the bottom of the list again. Let's see if we have any more check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please. All right, hearing none, we'll go back to the top of the list. I'm not sure how much longer I can stay awake here, but we'll go at least another round, maybe 2. Frank W9JCC, it's your turn again from KC9UDX.
Okay, thanks, Matt. This is W9JCC. And before we forget, let me answer your question about the pin setting apparatus. I think there was a Brunswick. The blower knocks the pins down. They found a pit that you're sitting a little bit above and behind. And when you, the rack is up above the pins, then you pick up all the pins and you just shove them in the hole. You kind of slide them in from the back and they follow that goes pretty quick. And then you just manually pull a lever and down they go, and that goes back up again. But I almost got hurt bad on one of those ones. I was sitting one day, and there were some sailors from Great Lakes, I think, bowling, and one guy bowled, left a few pins up, and I went down to pick him up, and before I could even get the first pin up, he took another ball down, and hit a couple of pins, and I think one went by each ear. He hit him pretty good, so it woke me up a little bit to be really careful. But other than that, the other interesting thing is some of the pin setters were homeless people. They had some rooms upstairs in that bowling alley. Some guys, actually I think they just lived there, and they were supplied some, I don't know if they haven't given any food or they just used their pin setting money to go out and get something to eat, but it was what it was back in about the mid-1950s. My layout here hasn't changed much since I first set it up. That was probably around 1980 or so. And the equipment changed a little bit, but the layout's kind of the same. I often thought about having the table move a little. I've got some big coasters that I could use, but if I had to put them on the table, I'd have to take everything off the table. That would not work well at all. So as long as everything's working, I guess I'm going to leave it like this. And if something breaks, I guess we'll just have to live with that. As far as dating goes, I used to go every year. I went every year for about 10 years back in the 80s and early 90s. And then somebody used to go passed away, so I didn't go for a while. And then in 2013 or I think it was 2014, the ex-wife and I went down, and she really enjoyed it. She sat in the stands there in the arena and met some other ladies, and they were knitting and carrying on and doing all kinds of stuff. So as I was going around the handcuffs, but I've never been to the new one. And like others here, I have no desire now to go anymore. As far as the solar cycle goes, I heard that it might be short. I hope not, but if it is, I hope it's a real rocket. If it's going to be short, I hope it's really good, but it hasn't been that great yet. I mean, it's been some openings, but not terrific. Okay, back to that, W9JCC.
All right, thank you, Frank. Well, I guess I forgot to comment on that, but I had heard, and I don't remember how I heard this or where I heard it or whatever, that the solar cycle might be longer than normal. So I guess we'll see what happens. The way it's going, it doesn't seem like it would be longer. It seems like it would be shorter. So maybe that's just outdated information. I don't know. And you mentioned being able to move the operating table. That's something I do plan on doing. I'm not going to do the whole Lazy Susan thing, but I actually have the parts to do it. If I ever get a proper desk, I could do it to this table, but the same reason I'm not going to take everything off it, lift it up just to do this. I've got some, I forget what they call these things. They are appliance sliders or something like that. The reason I have them, I've got, speaking of bowling, I've got a shuffle bowler, and this thing weighs more, the bowling machine weighs more than my operating desk here does. And I had bought 4 of these things thinking that I would need to spread out the load on them to move that thing. And the reason I have that is because to service that machine you have to tilt up the table, and you can't do that when it's up against the wall. So I put these sliding things underneath it, and I can actually pull it out away from the wall and tilt the table up to work on it. And I bought 4 of them thinking I'd have to spread out the load, but it turns out they're way stronger than I anticipated. So I have 2 extra ones, and I plan on doing that if I get a different desk down here. And it sounds like the Brunswick B10 is what you're using. There were probably other models. Obviously, they called it B10. There must have been a B or a B1 or something at some point, so I don't know. A lot of that history is inaccessible. But if you take a look at the Holler House, I know they have videos on YouTube because I looked that up a long time ago. The Holler House uses, I think, those Brunswick B10s, so it would be the same thing that you had. They still do that. One of the few places in the world where they still do that. And yeah, there's been a lot of people that had serious injuries spotting pins. And that's one of the reasons why they wanted to go to automatic pin setters in the first place. The other reasons were kind of, well, sort of like what you're talking about. I wouldn't know if the guys that you were working with were riffraff, but they were hiring a lot of riffraff to spot pins, and I guess some of the pin boys were getting in arguments with bowlers or deliberately setting them up so that they, would do good or bad or whatever. And that was the other main reason. And I don't remember now if I said it, but I guess it was very common for people to get very injured. I probably did say that. A lot of people really, really got injured flying pins and things. But yeah, that'd be pretty terrifying, having a bowling ball come at you like that when you're down in the pit. And I guess with that, we'll go to Dave, WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. I think I remember way back in my younger days being somewhere where they had, pinboy type things, and I remember seeing a sign, that said, don't, give them time, don't throw another ball right away down there so you don't take out anybody. Yeah, my school days and such, you probably heard some of these stories. I worked in an Italian restaurant, so it wasn't quite the same as far as imminent physical danger goes, but we were open until after bars closed. The owners insisted on always being open until after bars closed, which meant Saturday nights we didn't close until at least 4 in the morning. And that's where I came up with the theory of the spaceships land at midnight, and that's when all the aliens come out, because it's a whole different civilization that's out and about. Early morning hours. So, here we said, pretty much put money in my pocket during my high school and college days. And even after, actually, because when I did some other work for them, I did some advertising and things. The owners got into money troubles, and I had money invested in the place. It was an interesting time. Especially when I go once a month to go and pick up money and eat for free, too. So, anyway. The balloons, no, they did not recover anything. They launched from the Lakeshore State Park. The state park that was created by that patch of land out in the lake. And one was the MFOE guys and the other belonged to I don't know the name of the school. Jerry, M0IMJ. He teaches at a private school in the city. And they have a radio club, even though they don't have any members in it this year. This balloon is the one that got to the Atlantic Ocean. Most of you guys only got into the state of Michigan. Last year, a couple years ago maybe, they did a balloon that made it to Turkey before it disappeared. It came down or was taken down. That's always something over there. Some of the guys in MRAC were involved with some high altitude balloons a few years back. They did, I think, 4 total. Those balloons would go sort of straight up to 90 or 100,000 feet and then pop and come back down. And they recovered all of those. But they went out to probably in the LBRY area also to launch in order to keep them on land. One of them actually did go into Lake Michigan. They saw it. Some guys saw it there. Steve was there. I think he was involved in that one. They saw it in the lake, and there were some people there getting a boat ready. They were like, you guys need something? And, you know, these people took them out into the lake, and they retrieved the balloon. But these balloons are the ones that they should get to around 30,000 and see how far they go on this thing. In the solar cycle, who knows what the right answer is, because there was a lot of arguments as to when it would actually start going up. I remember that. People weren't sure when the bottom of the last one came, or when it was going to start increasing. So I don't know if there is any kind of real consensus on this one. But yeah, hopefully it lasts for a while. I do know that contests that I've done this year, Sundays, 10 meters, has been really good, and it hasn't for a number of years. So that, if that's any indication, things are on their way up. Anyhow, that's good enough here. So this is WC9 BWP.
All right, thank you, Dave. And yeah, it's interesting because it was just the last solar cycle where they kind of gave up on the rigid boundaries of when the solar cycle would begin and end. You know, it was too predictable for too long, and then it stopped being so predictable. And there was a lot of, like you said, a lot of argument as to when this one actually would start or did start or whatever. Interestingly, there's a sunspot right now that is reverse polarity, which is usually indication of the change in the solar cycle, but of course it can also happen just at seemingly random, so there's nothing to really jump to conclusions about with that. It's just interesting. And I must be falling asleep. I'm positive I had something else to comment on here, and I don't recall what it was. Not good. Well, anyway, I guess next we'll go to Carol N9CXK from KC9UDX.
KC9UDX and the net. N9CXK. Yeah, I certainly can't say much about the solar cycle either. It's, I think it's pretty indeterminate. We waited a long time for the cycle 25 to start, and it was, yes, it's coming, no, it's not. Yes, it's coming, no, it's not. So finally, it started. I think we've been having nice conditions, but yeah, nothing spectacular at all. Not like all-day band openings and things that you would sort of expect. I was hoping that the sporadic E here might be coming along and get enhanced. Well, I haven't heard much of that either. We should be hearing from 6 meters by now. And I don't want all these The guys are telling me, well, yeah, I was working Europe on FT8. Well, it doesn't faze me at all. So, unless they're working somebody on phone, I don't think the signals are strong enough to worry about. So, I guess you gotta wait a little bit on that. And Matt, if you're tired, I'm perfectly happy to finish up right now. Because I really should go downstairs. My wife kind of hurt herself today, and I want to go down and see how she is and what I can do for her. So I think I am going to make this my 7-3 here. Very nice to hear everybody. Nice to hear the 10-meter guys over here. It's amazing that we just can't do any better on. I can't do any better on 10 meters than on 2 meters. No problem. But of course, if I had an antenna that had 10 dB gain on 10 meters, that'd be interesting. That'd be a lot of aluminum, probably. All I can say is the lake is nice and quiet right now. Tonight was a bass fishing night. Hope the guys got something. I know the bluegills are bedding right off my pier. I caught a lot of nice big ones and put them right back together last week. This week I really haven't had a chance to go fishing yet. And the wind is blowing straight in here out of the east. Makes it awful hard with the fly rod. It's almost impossible. I'll wait a little bit on that. Thanks, Matt. I think I will be going out to look for those shoes, those cross-country ski boots, as quick as I can. But yeah, there was not much available. What I found online was very expensive, and it's just not worth it. Boy, I wish I would have known all this cross-country ski stuff we gave away at our rummage sale. We couldn't sell any of it, so we gave it all to, somebody who came and picked up most all of our things that we had left from the rummage sale. And, I mean, there were several pairs of skis and no shoes. They all got gummy and funny, but, yeah, there were bowls, there were everything. You never know. I couldn't hang on to the stuff any longer. And I saved a couple sets of skis for myself and poles, and I think I still have one set of downhill stuff that I kept. But that's all. I think the ice skates mostly went away too. I like ice skating, but I don't know. Like my snowshoes a lot. Like my cross-country skis a lot. So there. I'm going to say 7-3. Everybody, sorry to bug out early, but I know Matt's tired, and I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of the whole thing. Everyone have a good night. I will talk to you very soon, maybe even tomorrow. This will be N9CXK saying 7-3, and talk to you. Whoops, that was close, huh? 7-3, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you, Matt.
Well, before you go, Carol, just quick, if you don't mind, tell us what your shoe size is.
Oh, okay. Generally I wear a size 12, as narrow as you can get it. So, typically I'm wearing a 12, just medium or whatever you call it. You know, nobody makes narrow shoes anymore. So, anything like that, usually 12, 12 and a half is fine. These safety shoes that I buy, team safety shoes, I have to buy a 13. Always have to buy a 13, but they always fit. So, I don't know, some other kind of sizing.
All right, I don't want to keep you. I just wanted to see, because I guess that I should have known. You know, I have small feet. My feet are size 9. I have an extra pair of ski boots. It just occurred to me, so I figured I better ask you just to see. But I will say 7-3 to you, and I guess I'll let you sign, and then we'll look for you next month.
Okay, very good. Yeah, thank you, Matt. Thanks, everybody. Nice to hear y'all. It was a little light tonight, but that's okay. Made a few rounds real quick there. Appreciate it a lot, and really enjoy it. See you soon. 7-3 from N9CXK.
All right. Do take care of your wife, and have a good one. And the other thing I was going to say before that I couldn't remember what it was, Dave, is that when I had first gotten licensed 11, 12 years, whatever ago it was, we were still in the good part of the solar cycle for 10 meters. And I had not accumulated enough stuff to get on 10 meters at that point. I never had a technician class license, so I always had capabilities, but I never got any. I didn't get anything for HF for a long time after I got licensed, and that worked out to a huge benefit. Unfortunately, I don't have most of this stuff anymore, but when 10 meters stopped working for everybody got in a big panic and sold all their 10 meter gear, and I bought it all up. I had half a dozen of these Radio Shack HTX 10s, which is just an amazing radio. I unfortunately only have 2 left. I sold all of the rest of them, and only one of them really works. And I had a whole pile of other stuff. I had these weird CB type 10 meter radios. I had all kinds of that stuff. I got it all just dirt cheap as soon as the as soon as conditions got bad last time around. So maybe I'll do that again when it happens this next time. But maybe a lot of this stuff won't be available anymore. Anyway, we will go to the top of the list, shorter list here, and call this the 7-3 round because I am really having a hard time here. Frank, W9JCC, do talk as long as you like, but it's your turn on the 7-3 round from KC9UDX.
And KS9Q, I'll wait my turn. Okay, thank you, Matt, and good evening, Jim. Just a quick comment on the 10 meters and 15 meters. I don't listen a lot right now, I've been really doing other things, but I noticed when 10 meters is open, I don't hear much on 15. And I don't know why. My first thought was that everybody just kind of goes up to 10 meters because it's open. But just a thought. Anyway, I am tired too. I did quite a bit of work today. Tomorrow, the next day, I'm going to try to spade up the garden. That's going to probably wear me out too. But Matt, thanks for running the net. And I will say 73s to everybody. And turn back to net. Everybody have a great rest of the week. This is W9JCC.
All right, thank you, Frank. I'll say 7-3 to you. We'll look forward to having you next month. And it's always been my opinion that 15 meters is open a lot more than people think it is, and just nobody gets on it because they think it isn't. Where they seem to jump to 10 meters when they hear about it, but nobody thinks about 15. I don't mean nobody, I mean less people. But that's been my opinion. I hardly ever hear anybody on 10 or on 15 when 10 is open. And there's plenty of times when I'm pretty sure 15 is open and just nobody's on it anyway. But it's been years since I listened around there anyway. And with that, we'll let Jim in here. Say welcome to the net. KS9Q from KC9UDX. We are on the 7-3 round, but go ahead and talk as long as you like.
KC9UDX and the net. This is KS9Q. First of all, Matt, how is my audio? I just kind of took a guess as to levels here.
Oh, I would say it's not going to get any better. That's pretty much perfect.
Okay, very good. Well, I was actually out mobile on the way back from church. I had to install a microphone and drop some stuff off. And on my way back, I was listening, and I was about halfway back, and I heard Frank. I didn't have my best antenna on the car, but I was able to follow you guys along until I got home, and I thought, oh, what the heck, we'll jump in, just say hello. Wish I could have gotten in a little bit earlier, but glad we were able to get in and just check into the net. Hope you and your family are well, Matt, and hope everybody else is having a decent start to May. And I am hoping that we are done with winter, and I will be more than happy to see some nicer weather hang around for a while. And let's see, I don't know if there's anything else earth-shattering to report here. So I will turn it back to Ned and say 73 all the way around, and thanks for letting me jump in. Glad you guys were still going here. KC9UDX and the net. This is KS9Q.
All right, thank you, Jim. Well, I'm glad you popped in. I was thinking about you. It's been 2 months, but that's okay. Whenever you can, you can. That's all right. And I keep telling everybody, I am ready for fall. I am so grateful that it has not been getting hot as early as it did last year. I don't know why, but this year I'm just not looking forward to summer at all. I cannot handle the heat. But I'll probably do just fine. But I've got it in my head, I just don't want to do it. I'm ready to move to northern Canada or just skip right past summer and go right to fall. And with that, I will say 7-3 to you, Jim. And next we'll go to Dave. WB9BWP, it's your turn on the 7-3 round from KC9UDX.
Okay. Hello to Jim. I can just hear some sound over there. Can't really make anything out. But that's okay. I'm off over here. And I don't hear much from him. Anyway, I can hear him sometimes on 10-meter net, but not all the time. But that's fine. Some of the magic of radio. And yeah, we just put a tarp on top of the garden area. Been doing that for a few years for the winter. It's cut down on the number of weeds and things that have to be dug out of there in the spring. We just pulled that out today. Anyhow, I've talked lots here, so I guess if I just look here at notes and things, I'll say 73 to everybody that can hear any of this. And it's always good being on the net here. And just a reminder to people on other Tuesdays, actually it's every Tuesday it goes on, but we have our working net over on 145.39 at 8 o'clock. And now it is totally run by all new guys. So I don't run it anymore, and that's good. And it's good to see new people getting on the air. 73 to everyone out there, and with that, this is the CP9BWP.
All right, thank you, Dave. Excuse me. I have not not taken the time to listen to that rookie net. Of course, usually when it's not net night for me, it's go to bed early and go to work night. So that's the biggest reason for that, I guess. And well, this is good timing because I was going to warn everybody at the start of the net, and I neglected to do that, but my allergies are just terrible the past couple days, and I'm surprised I survived this long without a sneezing fit, but I have a feeling there's one coming, so this is good timing. But I will say this concludes the 2 a.m. net. Feel free to rag chew on this frequency after my transmission. We will meet again on the 13th of June. And of course I want to thank everybody for being here, because without everybody being here we don't have a net. And I do have to get on it. I've got to dig out the logs and see what I can figure out to celebrate 10 years of doing this, because that's this year, and it's one of these probably next month. So until then, this is KC9UDX73, and good night.